Imagine standing on a small island in the middle of nowhere. It's an eerily cool night, and a thick fog envelops you as you look ahead to an ominous lighthouse cloaked in shadow wheeling you towards it. The ocean waves crash against the rocks, your heart races a little, and you realize you're alone. Now imagine that the island is haunted by the ghosts involved in a gruesome axe murder. Creepy thought, right? Well, that island exists just 2 miles off the Gulf of Maine, and if you're brave enough, you can spend the night investigating its paranormal activity. Welcome to Seguin Island, one of the most haunted places in New England. The history of Seguin Island Light Station is filled with strange and tragic stories. The light station dates all the way back to 1795. It became one of Maine's most important light stations as a result of the heavy schooner traffic going up and down the Kennebec and Sheepscot rivers. It is one of the oldest light stations along the coast, as well as the highest above sea level, and has the distinction of being at one of the foggiest locations of all coastal lighthouses. The foghorn is activated about 68 days per year. The island of Seguin is about half-mile long, and from the air the landmass looks like a large turtle. The coves resemble paws and a head. A once wooded island, now mostly barren, the setting is all here for a creepy haunting. Seguin Lighthouse Station is one of the coastal lighthouses that has received multiple reports of paranormal sightings. Numerous ghosts are said to still roam the island and have been seen and heard many times over by various keepers. Keepers also spoke of furniture moving on its own and doors slamming themselves, causing terror among those who experienced it. Folklore and legend tell of reported deaths on the island in the mid-1800s. Life on the island would have been a very lonely one for both the keepers and their families, and sometimes that loneliness can drive you mad. During the mid-1800s, one of the first lightkeepers moved into the lighthouse. After settling in, the keeper's wife fell into a deep depression from the isolation of the island. In an attempt to raise the woman's spirits, the lighthouse keeper made special arrangements to have a piano shipped to the island, believing that all of their free time would be a great chance to learn music and provide each other with much-needed entertainment. However, things didn't quite work out as planned. The lighthouse keeper's wife picked a song from a book, and for many months, she practiced at all hours of the day until she had mastered the tune. When her husband asked if she would like new sheet music shipped over from the mainland, she declined, continuing to play the same song over and over day in and day out. After months of being subjected to the same monotonous tune and driven mad by the torment of isolation, the lighthouse keeper snapped and destroyed the piano with an axe. Then he took the axe to his wife. When he realized what he had done during his rage-induced fit, he took his own life. To this day, visitors to the isolated island have reported hearing the haunting sound of piano music drifting softly from the lighthouse, only to discover that the building is empty. Many believe the ghost of the lighthouse keeper's wife has refused to leave the island, still playing her tune on a phantom piano. Some have even claimed to witness the ghostly visage of her husband trudging across the island, axe in hand. It has been reported by passing ships that on quiet nights that same monotonous tune can be heard trickling over the still waves. While the lighthouse keeper's wife might be the most famous spirit on Seguin Island, she's not the only one. The ghost of a young girl who died while living in the lighthouse is said to haunt the grounds. Many believe her body is buried somewhere close to the property, and she's been witnessed by many running playfully around the gardens, laughing, smiling, and sometimes coughing as if she has an illness. She's not only been witnessed by visitors to Seguin Island, but by previous keepers who've called the lighthouse their home. There have also been sightings of her running up and down the stairs. She has waved to the men on several occasions, and some have heard her laughter. It has been reported that the young girl died on the island and her parents buried her near the generator house. Some may think this is far-fetched, but not according to the Coast Guard personnel that occupied the island in the 1970s and 80s. The old captain, as he is referred to, makes himself right at home. He has been sighted many times climbing the narrow, winding, iron spiral stairway leading to the top of the tower. Could the old man be still trying to service the light? The old captain has been seen standing behind one of the keepers as a checkers game was underway. The sound of a bouncing ball, similar to a basketball, has been heard coming from the upstairs bedroom. When an investigation took place, nothing could be found. Cold spots have brushed by some of the men when they have been polishing the brass or doing other maintenance work. Pea jackets have been taken off hooks and thrown on the floor. Tools have been misplaced for no reason at all, and then reappear later in the same area they were discovered missing. It is very possible we have two separate apparitions on the island, the old captain and the little girl. A very interesting area on this island is the landmass between the lighthouse and the foghorn, the highest point of rock on the island several hundred feet away from the main lighthouse structure itself. The horn is so powerful, it is said its volume has knocked close flying seagulls right out of the air. The intensity of fog in this area is the reason for such a powerful horn. Both the old captain and the little girl have been sighted in this area, and all kinds of sounds from laughter to groans seem to be prevalent here. In this area, many hauntings have taken place. A very interesting encounter with the captain occurred in 1985. As the light station was being prepared for automation, the warrant officer in charge of the activities experienced an encounter with the ghost of the old captain. All items in the house were being packed for shipment to the mainland. The work crew had retired for the evening, and everyone was in bed asleep when the warrant officer awakened by the shaking of his bed. The apparition in his oilskins was standing at the end of the bed, shouting in pathetic tones, "Don't take the furniture. Please leave my house alone." The warrant officer, obviously scared half to death, bolted from his bed and ran to the next room. The next day, the furniture items were loaded in the dory, which was on a skid, which sat on a track leading to the water. The order was given to start the engine, which would slowly lower the dory down to the ocean 200 feet below. The Coast Guardsman reported that the engine suddenly stopped cold, and the chain holding the dory broke, and the loaded boat went down the track full speed, hit the ocean, and sank under the impact, with the furniture and all being lost. The Coast Guardsman claimed the ghost of the old captain had a hand in the unusual event. Never before had an event like this taken place, and according to all odds, it was an impossibility. Over the recent years, many responsible volunteer caretakers who sign on to help upkeep the lighthouse for summer tourists have reported various sightings and strange paranormal events. Items have been moved inside the house or tossed from shelves onto the floor, mysterious cold spots, tools disappearing and reappearing randomly, and doors have been observed opening and closing. If the caretakers move the furniture, it is sometimes restored to its original spot the following day. Some have reported hearing coughing from an unseen source. Many people believe these events are of the old captain. During their investigation of Seguin Island, Maine-based paranormal investigation team Haunt Me made contact with many of the spirits still lingering on the island. Not only did the team experience manifestations of phantom sounds, suffer mysterious physical afflictions, and witness the famous piano notes drift from the lighthouse. At one point during their stay on the island, team member Ty Goen was touched by a pair of unseen hands which tugged on the back of his jacket. Are these accounts really true? A researcher who specializes in genealogy obtained information on these hauntings a variety of ways. She states, "There's not too much first-hand information because the stories are so old and there aren't many lighthouse keepers around these days. Most of them are documented online, but a few of the keepers wrote books as well. As they were required to keep detailed logbooks, there is a lot of first-hand information in those. Some of those stories are first-hand, taken from people who have stayed in the apartments and reported mysterious happenings. What has happened at this lighthouse seems to live on, not only through stories, but through spirits as well. The light is always on at this lighthouse. Seguin Island is a wonderfully preserved piece of New England history. If you're thinking about taking your paranormal investigations to the next terrifying level, Maine's haunted Seguin Island might be just the thing. Thanks to all the isolation, evidence is far less contaminated, and it doesn't hurt that the ghosts don't seem to be very shy. With the legend of the hauntings plaguing Seguin Island, It leaves more questions than answers. What is the old captain and the young girl searching for? If you should ever pass by the island of Seguin, let your mind wander, and you may find that your thoughts will send shivers down your spine. Have you visited Seguin Island Lighthouse? What are your thoughts on this dark legend? Leave them in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to hit the bell to get notified when new videos are uploaded. If you're interested in more haunting stories, be sure to check out my other newest video, The Haunting in Georgia. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen.